Susan runs the Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia, which is a group of volunteers worldwide who correct misinformation on Wikipedia. And she'll tell you how many millions of views the pages that they've fixed have. Oh, here she comes in. Anyway, because of the popularity and the influence of Wikipedia, I personally truly believe that hers is one of the most important skeptical projects happening in the world right now. And more recently, she has been doing what she calls this, the Grief Vampire Project, where they're going around and they're doing stings. Susan, you need to turn on your camera.
Can you not see me? Oh, hold on. Okay, here I am.
There she is, yay! She's been going around, I'm going to let her tell it. So I just started to talk about your Grief Vampire Project. So can you tell us just the quick summary of what that is?
So we are doing a project, well, okay, I've done a bunch of different things. The one that we just recently did is called Operation Pizza Roll. And that was where Mark and Edward and I went to see a psychic called Thomas John years ago. So what we did is we had a team of people who created a whole bunch of fake Facebook profiles and made them look really accurate. And then we went to the show, Mark and I, not knowing what was on those fake profiles, pages. All we knew is that we had some basic things that we could do. There was just some basic things, but we knew that I had a twin brother named Andy who had died of pancreatic cancer not so long ago. And Mark wanted to hear from his father. So we went in to see the psychic, we saw the psychic, and he repeated pretty much everything that was on the Facebook pages. Mark and I knew almost nothing about what was on the fake page. And so he did a hot reading. He hot read all of our content.
So you guys made fake people. You went in posing as these fake people, and you discovered you were essentially baiting the psychic to hot read you by looking you guys up on Facebook and seeing what they could find out about you. And you essentially proved that that's exactly what he was doing.
Yes, because there was no way he could have known what was on those Facebook pages unless he went to the Facebook pages.
Right. Now, what was the purpose in you not knowing what was on your own fake Facebook pages?
Because we wanted to double blind it, because it was possible. I mean, they can use a ton of different excuses, and this psychic has done a bunch of different excuses. But what will happen is he may say that he read our minds. And he couldn't have read our minds because we didn't even know what was on those pages ourselves.
So the idea is if you had, let's say you had made those yourself, or you knew that everything that was on them, that if he said, oh, you've got a sister named Jody, and you might react to that because you knew that was true, or you didn't know that was true, that would give him a clue, and he would be able to continue doing a cold reading which didn't necessarily require him having gotten a hot reading from your Facebook page. I think I'm explaining that right.
Yeah.
So it just gives you one more level of proof that what he was doing was basically cheating and going off of Facebook and not getting any signals either from you psychically or signals from you with your facial reactions or anything like that.
Exactly.
Okay. And how many of these have you done?
We've done Bumblebee, Operation Ice Cream Cone, Operation Tater Tot, Operation Pizza Roll, and then we did Pizza Shit right after we did this one. And they've all been really pretty much the same kind of philosophy of using fake Facebook pages.
And so are all these are all different psychics, and are they psychics that are known to people, or are they little small town psychics, or are they like the big names on television, or who are they?
Well, Peter Henry, so stop playing with me.
We're having some trouble buffering with your signal here.
Sorry. It's on her end.
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead. Tell us again. Start over with who they are.
Okay, so
Tyler Henry. Okay.
And everybody should know who he is. He's probably the most famous of the lot, but the others are all different up-and-coming psychics. Like the Thomas John is a seatbelt psychic.
He's the what?
Seatbelt psychic.
The seatbelt psychic. Okay, the guy in the taxi cab with the driving people in the car. Okay. So have you been successful at getting much news coverage about this?
Just the New York Times Magazine, a bunch of other places you probably never heard of, like Wired Magazine and Drudge Report and The Weekly Magazine, and no-name places like that.
Right. So how long has this been going on? How long have you been getting the news coverage?
Well, the pizza roll was done 2 years ago, but it took until March this year to get it actually published.
Oh, wow.
So since that published, I'm contacted all the time by the media or by people who are believers who want to understand how Thomas John is looking accurate or whatever.
Okay. Well, that's pretty awesome. Do you know if you've ever gotten any... Have you ever... has these efforts ever been able to dissuade people who were formerly believers? Do you know if you've ever been able to change any minds or, actually protect people who might have otherwise gone to these psychics and been taken advantage of?
Yes, absolutely. I'm hearing from people all the time who are telling me that they had been believers and now they understand how it looked that he was so accurate. We're finding people all the time. I mean, it's constant that people are writing to me saying that how much they appreciate what we're doing, that former believers, and now they understand the secrets. So when we did the New York Times article and the following, everything that came after that, people were able to, we reached an audience outside of our quiet, which is something the skeptics tend to do, is speak to each other who already understand these things. Right.
Okay, so I want to shift gears for a second here and go back to Weird or What? So this is I guess the first project that you and I arguably worked together on, which was, and I talked to Mark about this earlier tonight, because this is the same episode of Weird or What that all three of us were on. Mark was in the role of the the medium who's conducting a seance, and the TV show had collected 3 people who were believers in seances to sit around this table. Mark conducted a seance with them. I was outside watching this on an infrared camera because it was completely pitch black in the room. And what was your role? What were you doing inside that black room?
I would make it all happen.
Making everything happen. So you were. I remember you were wearing something looked like a bear suit or something. What were you wearing?
I was in complete black. I had a black mask with little tiny pinholes, but I really didn't need to be in so much because they couldn't have seen me. You could not see the black in front of your face at all. I mean, there was nothing. It was so dark in there. So in the picture that you showed of Mark sitting at the seance table earlier, there was a picture. You could see his chair was kind of a high
Seance
chair.
24. Go ahead.
It had a really high back.
Yeah, there we go. Where's the picture?
Okay, so what is on the back of the chair are some little glow in the dark bugs.
Really?
And so that's all we could find that was glow in the dark at short notice. So we charged them up nice and charged so you could just barely see them. So I practiced over and over that I came from curtains way at the other end, came out, I'm in my sock, and I sneaked up to the table. Now everything you can see here right now is black. I mean, it is white. It's an infrared camera. So I had to go repeatedly back and forth. And what I would do is go up to Mark's chair. I'd lean on the chair and put my hand on his shoulder and I made things happen because Mark's holding hands with everybody around the table. I drew things. I took the tambourine up from the table and I shook it and then threw it. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. We're looking at the picture. We didn't see it.
Okay. So I threw it and then I kept like I was ringing bells, but they couldn't tell. And then I went underneath the table at one point, and I got on my hands and knees, careful not to touch anybody. And I got underneath the table and I grabbed the base of the table and shook it like this. And people were screaming. And the whole time I'm thinking, this is the hokiest thing I've ever seen. I feel like in Disneyland. It's a small world. It was so silly. The Haunted Mansion or something. But they started screaming. I could not believe that it was really that believable. And then at the very, very end, so Mark's telling a story about a musician who was a very cool man and all these things. And what I did is I went off camera and I picked up a big French horn and I walked up to Mark's chair and I dropped the French horn as hard as I could onto the table. And so that when the lights came back on, Mark passed out. He's laying there passed out. And when the lights came back on, there's a French horn on the table. Oh, and I also used I did spirit voices. I had a very long tube.
Right. I remember the tube. Yeah.
Oh God, it was so much fun. It was really fun.
So I have two questions for you about that. First of all, had you ever done this before? Was this something you'd never done this before? This was wow. So just on the first try, it was that easy to do that you can be even completely inexperienced with it and still fool the people. And okay, it looks like we're having a bit of a buffering issue here with these. Stand by here. And then, okay, so my second question then is, I was watching you doing all of these things on the TV. I remember watching you crawling under the table. I remember watching you drop the French horn into the middle of the table. And I remember watching you taking the big long tube and like putting it up next to someone's head and speaking into their ear. So it sounded like someone was whispering right next to their head. But what I couldn't understand was, how were you able to see well enough to do any of those things? Because it was so black, literally nobody could see a thing. How were you able to do that without hitting people in the head with the tube?
I practiced, and I had the glow things on the back of Mark's chair. So I knew that if I leaned on his chair, that I had practiced with that tube. Actually, I didn't put it in their ear. I was just waiting. Like I practiced up high, and then I just supported over the table. So I had practiced not to touch anybody and not to move from that spot, but I had to keep moving back into the carpeted area and then to grab the next thing I was going to do and then came back. So I just went back and forth, and I had a little, I had a lot of practice walking how many steps was to the curtain and back, but it really was pitch black, and I couldn't see anything.
It sure was. I think it's fair to point out, though, that we're laughing about this and everything, but the idea was we were not there to fool these people. These people did get fooled, but we were there for the much larger purpose that this was going to be a televised debunking of how these deceptions are operated. And
right, these people knew that they were going to be on a TV show. They knew, I think they'd already been told they were going to be involved in a seance. And that was 2 seances that day.
Yeah. I remember that they filmed 2 of them so they could use whichever one worked better. Yeah, and it was that one with the lady who came back in afterward, who'd been so deeply moved by the whole experience. And I remember the director, he was just kind of annoyed that she had come back in and kind of interrupted his work. I wouldn't say I was surprised that she came back in and had such a powerful reaction. And I definitely felt bad for her, though. I mean, I had such a huge sense. I wanted to walk out with her and say, just so you know, this was like a total put on, and all these things were tricks and everything. But I realized that if you say that to someone who believed as deeply as she would, there's no way she would have believed me, and she would have gotten angry, and it wouldn't have done any good. So I didn't do that. So I just want to be clear that it looks like we're laughing at these people. We're not. We're laughing at kind of the practice at which these deceptions happen.
Right. Not only the spider falling was really interesting, it was great the way the brain finds things. Like Mark had taken a whole bunch of straw out of a box. I mean, it was a whole act that Mark put on for like 15 minutes or more. It does not show in the video that you see. And so when he took the straw out of this old box, there was some straw laying on the table. And after the fact, when it's all over, they thought that the straw had been materialized. They didn't realize it had been on the table the whole time. And another thing that happened was a candle. Mark had a candle burning, and he blew it out, and then the seance happened. And then at some point, when I was throwing things onto the table, the candle fell over, and the wax had fallen onto the table. And again, when the lights came on, the sitters at one point thought they saw a face in the candle wax.
They thought they saw what?
A face.
A face? Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And it was nothing we had done. It's what their brain did to them.
Yeah, people will just get into such a state of mind that they believe that they're witnessing an actual seance, and pretty much anything they see they just interpret as being part of that seance and of some kind of supernatural origin. Huh. Now, if I recall correctly, correct me on this. The story that Mark was telling them had to do with an old mansion or something like that, or an army officer, all of which was fictional. No?
Oh, it was all. Mark does research before he does these seances, and they're pretty, true to point. But it was a field, I believe, and where the warehouse we were sitting in used to be, and I think it was an old sea captain or something.
Oh, that sounds right.
Yeah, but well, we did some in Edinburgh. We've done a few at Edinburgh over the years, and he does research about the area. Like one place we went to had a bunch of people had been buried there from the flu epidemic at one point, a plague. That's what it was. So that was part of the story he did. So they seem believable in a way. They're not totally, I mean, it kind of has a little bit of realism to it.
Right.
The story.
Right. And that's important. Why? In case some of the people there, so that it has something that they recognize, that they'll kind of give it more importance.
I don't really know. It's just that it's part of the story, and Mark's a professional at mentalism and these seances, so it's just part of the art, because I believe that seance is actually an art form. So it's not just tricks. I mean, Mark brings them along with smells and sounds and all kinds of things. Like he'll be telling a story about roses that have something that had to do with roses. And then I came out with a vial of rose spray, and I sprayed it at just the right time. And so people, just enough, maybe somebody they'll kind of go, oh, I thought I smelled roses. And Mark would say something like, that's really interesting, So it's all subtle. It's a story. It's really clever. It's like going to just going to a show, I guess, a magic show. Instead of a magic show, you're going to go to a seance like this. He doesn't bring back people who are in the audience, their family members or anything like that. They're all, characters of some sort, or maybe somebody from history.
Okay, let me shift gears one more time, because just before we brought you on and I was introducing you, I was talking about the guerrilla skeptics on Wikipedia. And I didn't remember the numbers. How many pages have you guys edited, and how many page views have you had?
Okay, well, so far we're at 1,200 and something pages that we've created. And we do this in multiple languages, not just English.
Right.
It's real important that we get outside of English. And I think we're just a day or so away from hitting 49 million page views. 49
million page views. I mean,
right. Powerful.
Yeah, I know how much influence Wikipedia has. It's incredible. And 49 million page views that are getting correct information that would have been getting, essentially marketing material made by promoters of the paranormal and the pseudoscientific, which is what Wikipedia has. Unfortunately, it's got that kind of graffiti throughout the website. You guys fix that up. That's huge.
Yeah, we're trying to change that. Oh, we do have a lot of biographies of people. When I look at the list of people who have you're interviewing during this 13th, happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Party. There's a lot of those pages we've affected.
Do you want some cake? This cake has only been spit on a little bit, but no, okay.
But I'm in art class right now. You can see he's getting ready to move, so that's why the place looks like this in the background.
I was wondering. I thought maybe this was a set for another seance coming up.
No, he's getting ready to move, and so we've just been boxing things up. I'm down here in Los Angeles right now. I'm not at home in Salinas where I normally live, but the Wikipedia pages we work on, like I said, if you were to go through the list of all the people that you've interviewed or going to be interviewed, we've probably written or rewritten or touched half of those pages. I mean, I know I personally took a picture of Kiki Stanford, and the picture on her Wikipedia page is the one I took. Stanford.
Okay. So where can people go to learn more about Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia?
Well, we're mostly on Facebook, but you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. But really the place to go to is my website, which is called abouttimeproject.org. And that's where you'll be able to find all the information for the things we're doing with grief vampires, the Wikipedia project, interviews I've done. I do a lot of interviews with people. I do a lot of conference promotion. And also you'll find Monterey County Skeptics, which is my local skeptic grouping.
Okay, so abouttimeproject.org.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you. And on that note, we're out of time, so thank you both for spending so much time with us this evening and taking time out of your busy packing schedule.
I love Skeptoid.
Thank you so much. Skeptoid loves you too. All right, see you later. Okay, yeah, so, I mean, as I've said, you've heard me say a number of times how much I believe in the importance of the Guerrilla Skeptics project. It's not just Susan, there's whole teams of volunteers, and I know there's at least one guy working on implementing a software infrastructure for them to manage their work on. I'm not sure how they do it now, but I've got on the back end of the Skeptoid interface, we've got a section where every Wikipedia article that a Skeptoid episode touches, someone can go in and make all those notations. And then there's a script that checks the Wikipedia pages all the time to see, does it yet mention the Skeptoid reference? And if it doesn't, then it sends it to Susan's team. And that's kind of under construction and semi in place. It kind of requires us both working on both ends, but it's the kind of thing that suggests the possibility for larger engagement by more people. We were talking about, with Lee Sanders earlier, we were talking about how he's a music composer, and it turns out he can make enormous contributions to pro-skeptical projects. Other ones like this are places where software engineers could make enormous contributions to these skeptical projects, kind of helping to automate and grease these processes. I mean, we can't deny that Wikipedia is an absolute monster of influence in the world, and any efforts to improve it as a resource and make it more accurate and help steer people away, that's going to do good with a much greater reach than a given podcast could, for example. So anyway, if you have anything you can contribute to that project, jump on into abouttimeproject.org and get in touch, and Susan will connect you with the right people.